Hi guys, Trisha Dishing. Um, Today, I was looking through YouTube and, of course, looking through the news and been hearing some things about Jim Carrey that um, sounds, good on the outside and things like that. It seems like he's really searching for truth and, for wisdom and things like that. Seems like Hollywood is broken, and it seems like um, you know the things that he's saying. He's talking about Jesus. He's getting ready to release this film he did about. I think it's like he's painted the Lord in the portrait and things like that. Jim was never, of course, a Christian or anything like that, and I'm not saying he is right now. I just wanted to play this though because I find it very telling. A lot of times, guys, we can be searching for things and God show us um, the way to go, through our trials and tribulations. And Jim's in that Luciferian demonic Hollywood. Hollywood is definitely Luciferian. It is nothing but of sin. And, there's only so much fame and fortune and things like that you can reach in your life before you feel empty. And it's a shame that it's done like this. But Jim has been trying to come out, I think, from a long time, from the Hollywood situation. He doesn't even look the same. He just says what he thinks. If you see this, like right on here where I'm pointing at, it was saying about Jim Carrey exposes the Illuminati. Like this little bit, you got to watch that. He was literally like going out there with the horns and going like this. And Jimmy Kimmel's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "You know what it is," because they're all a part of that Luciferian system. And Jimmy Kimmel, of course, is not going to give the secret out. But Jim Carrey just seems like he's at his wits' end, and I think it has to do with them bringing charges up on him for allegedly being responsible for his girlfriend's death that happened last year. It was a suicide. It's unbelievable, but man, you got to listen to this. Let's take a listen to this.
Is electric.
This is Jim talking. This is him painting.
I don't know if Jesus is real. I don't know if he lived. I don't know what he means, but the paintings of Jesus are really my desire to convey Christ consciousness. I wanted you to have the feeling when you looked in his eyes that he was accepting of who you are.
See, I don't like that word Christ consciousness, because actually Christ consciousness, that phrase is a Luciferian phrase. Because listen, people got to understand something. When the world talks about Christ, it's not necessarily Jesus, okay? Because we know him, he's the only Christ. Christ means the anointed one. That's what that means. Jesus Christ. Christ is not Jesus's last name. It means the anointed one, the Christ, the Messiah that's coming. And as we know, the Bible says in the last days, there'll be a spirits of antichrist. And there'll be one antichrist, but there'll be spirits of antichrist saying, "Lo, he's there. Lo, look there." But it's against the true anointed one. So I wanted to explain that, because a lot of people think soon as somebody says Christ, oh, they must be talking about Jesus. No, they're not. They need to be specific. In fact, I very rarely call Jesus Christ. I call him Jesus, because that's the name under heaven whereby men must be saved. And that's the only name that I know that fits my Messiah perfect. So let's take a listen.
I wanted him to be able to stare at you and heal you from the painting. You can find every race in the face of Jesus. And I think that's how every race imagines Jesus. They imagine him as their own.
Yeah.
And
okay, so I'm going to skip ahead. He's actually a brilliant artist. I mean, if you saw that. But let's listen to this part. He's speaking to a group of people at a art. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of art in the background at a art expo.
I believe that suffering leads to salvation.
He says he believes suffering leads to salvation.
That's the only way. That we have to somehow accept, not deny, but feel our suffering and feel our losses.
He looks horrible.
And
he's definitely searching for something.
And then we make one of two decisions. We either decide to go through the gate of resentment which leads to vengeance, which leads to self-harm.
He's speaking truth.
Which leads to harm to others. Or we go through the gate of forgiveness, which leads to grace.
That's right.
And your being here is an indication that you've made that decision already. You've made.
Okay, so sounds good, right, guys? Now, mind you, it says in the last days, especially in in the book of Jude, and also in all the gospels, it talks about there'll be scoffers, there'll be mockers, saying, "Where's the promise of his coming? Where's the Christ?" And or like I said, "Lo, he's there." There'll be doctrines, all kind of doctrines, and this sounds great, right? But we got to continue to listen. So I want to take us down to this part where he was speaking to the crowd.
Really, God, freed the world from sin. I'm still sinning.
Okay, sorry. He was saying, he says he never understood Jesus. He said at that time, he said, because he goes, how could he free the world from sin? And he goes, I'm still sinning. So he was taking it literally like that Jesus freed everybody from sin. No, he freed the world that we can ask for forgiveness and, seek grace and mercy in a time of trouble.
Or I can sin all I want. I can do anything I want. Boobies. Jesus freed me. I can do that. No, I think what happened eventually was I was in a moment of despair, no doubt, questioning everything. I do that from time to time. Get a little tumultuous in my head and have a little war, little adversaries that fight it out. And one day it occurred to me that the adversaries in my head were the only thing keeping me from peace.
The adversaries in his head.
I started to let them go one by one. I consciously, as they entered my head, went, is this real? Do I even know this person? Sometimes you don't. You don't know your adversaries. You've never met them. You create these wars. And I started to let them go. And I suddenly realized what that statement meant, at least what it means for me, is that he freed the world from sin from his perspective. It's up to each one of us to free the world from sin from our point of view. And with that comes freedom.
I don't know what that.
And you got to keep doing it because they keep entering. But that was a really wonderful kind of transcendent moment for me.
Transcendent.
And, it keeps me in a place where, there's not a gigantic army of people building up at any one time. I can let them go as they come. And life is a lot more fun this way. But what else?
So of course he's got to make a joke about something because
I don't want to be presumptuous, but
he's getting
meaning of life.
The meaning of life.
What it is?
Here's the meaning of life. He thinks.
Love yourself.
So everybody claps and so forth. But what concerns me with this, guys, is that the fact is, first of all, this website, this YouTube channel is from somebody named Sir Elton John, and I don't like that picture of Jesus because that's actually a demonic picture of him with the sacred heart he's wearing. Trust me, that's very pagan. Don't use that. But anyway, he's saying that to love himself. And actually, that's a Luciferian doctrine too, is to do what thou wilt, to love thyself, and to put thy first. But to me, I really think Jim is searching out for the Lord. He's just getting a lot of mixed messages. And of course, I know one thing, though, the truest thing ever, that if he is truly hungering and thirsting after righteousness, my Jesus said, he will be filled. So he could be talking, like mixing like different religions together in Jesus. But if this man is truly seeking after Jesus, Jesus is going to fill him. He's not going to leave him that state. He's going to have a Saul to Paul conversion. Remember when Saul, before the Apostle Paul, who wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, remember he was persecuting the Christians and he was doing all kind of crazy things in the name of God. And all of a sudden God blinded him on the way to Damascus. And then the Lord, Saul's blinded. Then all of a sudden Jesus said,